welcome to I Love My Job.
I love my job. Is that why I'm here?
That is why you're here.
Woo!
That is the show devoted to people that love their jobs and have found career bliss. Today on the show we have from Comcast Sportsnet, anchor, sideline reporter,
host.
She does everything.
What don't I do?
Amy Fadool, everyone.
Woo! Thank you so much. Give me a good round of thank you. And I got to keep it going. Keep it going. That is the energy. Welcome to the sports world.
Let's get right to it. Why do you love your job, Amy?
That, Peter, is a very easy question because I'm a sports anchor and I get to watch sports for a living. And I think that most people in their spare time like to go to sports, and I get paid to do it. But for me, it's also working at Comcast Sportsnet. The reason I love my particular job and not just my career is that I work at a place where it's sports only. There's nothing else. So when it snows, they're not coming in and be like, okay, there's no sportscast today because, you know, we've got an inch on the way and we have to go do live shots from the grocery where there's no bread left. I didn't really enjoy those things so much when you're working in local, and because you worked all day and then they cut your 2.5-minute sports to 0 sports. So the reason I love my particular job is because I do sports only, and I get to talk about sports in one of the best sports towns in the country. I mean, Philadelphia is amazing.
Have you worked at stations that weren't all sports?
Well, when you work at a local television station, you know, obviously you're devoting most of your news hole, which is, you know, say 22 minutes long of your 30-minute newscast, is 18 minutes is not sports. So you're maybe lucky to get away with 3 minutes a night, probably. So you're doing news, you're doing weather, you're doing crime, you're doing traffic, and all that other stuff. And then at the very end, they let the kids from the sports department come out and talk about highlights for about 2.5 minutes. So that's about it. But you know, I've had longer sportscasts, but you know, it's here. No one's going to come in. If it snows, it doesn't matter. Sportsnet will still run Sports Night 6, 10, and 1 a.m. So
exactly. Tell me a little about your worst job. A little about that.
My worst job. I don't know that I ever had a bad job per se. I've had bad aspects to job. I've had certainly like not great experiences and jobs that I really did like. Probably the worst thing I ever had to do, though, I worked in high school. I'm from Virginia, and we have down south, we do have a lot of these old school apothecaries. And it's back in the day where you could go to the pharmacy and you go pick up your prescription, and in the front you'd have the lunch counter, and we still have it. It's still there to this day. And make limeades and hamburgers and everything else like that. It was a great job.
Okay, so now that we know a little bit about why you love your job at Comcast Sportsnet and your other jobs and all, we're gonna get to know you a little bit better.
Okay.
Okay. Get to know Amy.
I like it. Get to know Amy.
And what's your favorite sport?
Favorite sport? That's a hard one. I went to University of Kentucky, so I'd be remiss if I didn't say college basketball. But I like football probably the best because overall, I could go watch any kind of football game. I could watch a high school football game, pee-wee football game, college football game, NFL, whatever, and be happy with it. And just, I don't know if I could do that for high school basketball as much, but that's just...
What's your favorite sport to report on?
Favorite sport to report on? That's a good question. I think that it's probably going to be football the same, but probably, no, I'm going to take that back. I'm going to say college basketball because especially when it comes to March Madness, everything, it means everything to those kids. And there's really nothing quite like amateur athletes because they take every game so seriously, like every single game. And professional athletes sometimes, I don't want to say they don't take the game seriously, but they're getting paid, so whether they win or lose, they're still, I mean, they might not be as happy, but they're still going to go out and get a, you know, get a paycheck, and college athletes probably don't. So I would say college basketball probably.
All right, and I know everyone's dying to know, Pats or Genos?
Pats or Genos? I'm going to answer with Gyms. No. I actually live in South Philly, and I have been known to partake of a Pats or Genos late night because I believe everything tastes better at 3 a.m. And I will go with Pats. I think their steaks are just a smidge better. Sorry, Genos.
Oh, I was hoping you'd say Genos.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. We can still.
You still gonna?
Yeah,
we're still friends?
We're still friends. We can do this.
I was worried.
Okay, so now that our audience knows you a little bit better,
yes. Tell
me, how did you get into this business?
How I got into this business is I went to college. I was a journalism major, a broadcast journalism major with a sports concentration, and got an internship. For my senior year of college, interned there for about 6 weeks, and then they hired me to basically be a gopher and do whatever. And it was about $7 an hour, really high pay. And not much more actually when you get into the real field, oddly enough.
So that was in college. You had
that
your
was
first
in college.
go.
I had
Wow,
my first job,
lucky.
and I basically was a one-man band. I did whatever they asked. Shot, edit, wrote, produced, ran paper copies, whatever they needed me to do. And I was just at the right place at the right time a lot of times. And, you know, it's not really, television never closes. And so you would see people like, oh, I don't really want to work on Thanksgiving, or I don't want to work on Christmas. And I was like, I'll do it. So I was actually on air as a senior in high school on New Year's Eve, which, because that's not a really popular shift. But I do it, and I did it at 11 o'clock, my 2-minute sports segment, and I look like a deer in headlights. And I look back at it now and thought, how in the world am I ever going to do this? I look awful on television. I look terrified. But I got better, as most people do at their jobs, and they hired me full-time about a month before I graduated, and that's how I got into the job. But I kind of knew what I wanted to do pretty much my entire life. So.
Okay, Amy, tell me about your craziest locker room moment.
Oh, see, you already know something. You already know it was having to be in the locker room, because I'm a woman in sports, and there are the proverbial guys that act like clowns.
Inappropriate.
Yes, inappropriate. What a great word for it. And in their defense, I am walking into a locker room, but there are definitely guys, and it's usually rookies.
You're walking into their house.
I'm walking into basically their bathroom. So it's a little uncomfortable, and there's always this like weirdness where you're just standing around and you don't want to like look or touch or certainly not breathe as much as possible. But I was working in Nashville, and it's always the rookies, and it's because they're just not, because in college you can't go in the locker room, so they're just not used to it. And as soon as you walk in, it's just one guy, giant lineman, like 6'7", just drops his towel. It's just like, anybody want to interview me? And I just looked dead at him like, no, I don't. I want to. And then you just walk right past him. And he was just like, what? I'm like, dude, you're not even going to make the team. Like, no one even knows who you are. But it's pretty, I mean, of course, then like I'm turning bright red because I'm talking to a stark naked man. A very, very large one, like a 330-pound, 6'7", naked man with a lot of hair, oddly enough, too, which was strange. But
okay.
Yeah,
well,
that's a lot of information.
That
You
is
were
a
not
lot.
ready for
I
that,
was not
but-
ready for that.
See, you asked it.
But I did. It's my fault. So tell me, you're a woman, obviously.
Yes, I am. Thank you for noticing.
In almost a male-dominated field, sports
Yes.
broadcasting.
Yes.
Do you think it's easier being a woman, or do you think it's harder being a woman?
That's actually a really good question, because I had a sports director once tell me, it's like, I don't care if you get the question answered because you have blonde hair or you have 7 limbs, you just get it answered. And sometimes you stand out more. 1, I'm tall. 2, I'm blonde. 3, as you lovely pointed out, I am a lady. So sometimes, yeah, but sometimes no. Sometimes there's just dudes that they don't care if you're black, white, purple, blonde, redhead, whatever. They just don't want to talk to the media. We're all kind of lumped in. But sometimes, you know, your voice, my voice especially, I don't know if you noticed, can be loud. So my voice can travel. If I am wearing heels, you know, I'm pushing 6 feet, sometimes 6'1", and so I'm taller than some of the athletes. I'm about 4 inches taller in heels than probably half of the Phillies. So you stand out. You just stand out, and as a woman, you stand out. So sometimes you get your questions answered a little bit quicker, and so in that regard, it's a benefit. But then you have the towel guy with all the hair and the whatnot, and that's not a benefit at all, really, for anybody. That's a lose-lose, even for men.
Okay.
But I understand, I've come and talked to a couple kids here at Temple, a couple schools or classes here at Temple, and I know there's some students out there that want to know, what is it like to do this, and how can you get into this career? And so I'd love to hear that question. Let's roll it.
Hi, Amy. I'm a TV broadcasting student here at Temple University. I just would like to know, how do you become a sports journalist? I want to be on TV. I want to do what you do, so how do you do it?
That is a great question. How to get into this field? The best advice I have is to get an internship, and also, you know, have that focus and that vision, because if you don't, then, and if you're not completely sold out of getting into this field, then you're going to, the first obstacle you hit, which is going to be a lot, is probably going to be the pay, because it's really, really low, or moving to God knows where, then you'll just bail out. So I think it's 1, getting an internship so you can really see what goes into producing a newscast or a sportscast, and 2, it's having just, you got perseverance. You have to have that you got to love it, and you got to want to do it.
All right, Amy, that was great advice. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much. I hope I gave out good advice. You never know, But hopefully everybody learned something from this fantastic episode.
Oh, I know they did.